Texas officials believe a young woman missing in San Antonio is in imminent danger. 19-year-old Camila Mendoza Olmos was last seen leaving her home on Christmas Eve. And new surveillance footage may provide more clues. CBS News reporter Karen Hua has been following the developments in this search. Karen, what is leading investigators to believe that she is in danger?
A 19-year-old woman leaves her home before dawn on Christmas Eve. 7 days later, her body is found just a short distance away. Authorities rule her death a suicide. Those are the confirmed facts. What has never been fully explained to the public is one specific element of the case: the firearm found near her body, and how investigators use that detail to reach such a swift conclusion. This report does not accuse law enforcement, it does not claim wrongdoing, and it does not replace evidence with speculation. Instead, it examines what has been officially confirmed, what has been stated without detail, and what questions remain unanswered. Questions that continue to draw public attention because clarity matters, especially when a life is lost. Camila Mendoza Olmos was 19 years old. She lived with her family in northwest San Antonio, Texas, a residential area, not a remote or high-risk location. According to verified information, Camila was approximately 5 feet 4 inches tall, with brown hair and brown eyes. She was described by family members as close to her parents and connected to her home life. Nothing in her daily routine suggested someone preparing to disappear. These details matter because they place this case in the context of an ordinary young life, one rooted in family, proximity, and routine. On the morning of December 24th, Christmas Eve, Camila left her home on foot while her family was asleep. Security camera footage from outside the home shows her exiting the house at approximately 6:58 a.m. She was wearing a black The North Face sweater with light blue accents, light blue shorts, and white shoes. The footage captures Camila walking to her parked car and briefly searching through it. Investigators have never publicly confirmed what she may have been looking for. She did not get into the car. She did not drive away. She left the property on foot. Inside the home, her phone remained behind. Her vehicle stayed in the driveway. Law enforcement later stated they believe the only item she may have taken was a car key. No message was left behind. No one saw her leave in real time. When Camila did not return later that morning, her family became alarmed. This behavior was not normal for her. If you're finding this information valuable and want to stay updated on cases like this where transparency and accountability matter, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you thoroughly researched, fact-based reporting on stories that deserve careful attention. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office classified Camila's disappearance as imminent danger, a designation reserved for cases where investigators believe there may be an immediate risk to life. The search expanded quickly. Deputies canvassed nearby neighborhoods and businesses. Community members joined in. Federal agencies, including the FBI, assisted. The Department of Homeland Security checked border crossings due to San Antonio's proximity to international travel routes. During early press conferences, Sheriff Javier Salazar stated that investigators were considering all possibilities, including self-harm, accident, and third-party involvement. At that stage, no theory had been confirmed. On December 29th, 5 days after Camila disappeared, investigators released new information. Dash camera footage provided by a citizen appeared to show Camila walking alone along Wild Horse Parkway on the morning she left home. She was moving away from her neighborhood. This footage became the last publicly confirmed sighting of Camila while alive. The video narrowed the search area and prompted investigators to revisit locations that had already been checked. On December 31st, 7 days after Camila was last seen, search teams returned to a nearby property, the Burnett Bush Landscaping Company, located only a few hundred yards from her home. At approximately 4:45 p.m., searchers found a body concealed in tall grass. Authorities confirmed that the clothing matched what Camila was wearing when she left home. A firearm was found near the body. Shortly afterward, Montal law enforcement announced that they did not suspect foul play. The Bexar County medical examiner later identified the body as Camila Mendoza Olmos and ruled her death a suicide by gunshot wound. Investigators referenced what they described as indicators of self-harm at the scene. However, while the ruling itself was made public, specific forensic details were not. Deliberate pause. And this is where questions began to surface. Law enforcement confirmed that a firearm was found near Camila's body. They also acknowledged that investigators had been searching for a firearm reported missing from her family's home. Slow, methodical delivery. What has never been publicly clarified is the exact placement of the firearm, its distance from the body, whether it was in direct contact or separated, whether ballistic or residue findings were immediately conclusive, or how that firearm specifically factored into the determination of suicide. Pause. No photographs, measurements, or detailed forensic summaries have been released publicly. This absence does not mean investigators lacked evidence, but it does mean the public has not been shown how the conclusion was reached. In death, investigations involving firearms, placement, and context matter. Distance, orientation, environmental factors, and post-event movement all affect interpretation. Without publicly released details, independent evaluation is not possible. It is important to state clearly what has not been made public. A full, detailed autopsy report has not been released publicly. Ballistic testing results have not been disclosed. Gunshot residue findings have not been detailed. Trajectory analysis has not been explained. Emphasis: law enforcement statements came before the release of comprehensive forensic documentation. That sequence is not unusual, but it does create a gap between conclusion and explanation. Camila's father publicly stated that he was not aware of any history of depression or suicidal behavior. Sheriff Salazar stated that investigators had information suggesting prior suicidal ideation. Both statements exist in the public record. Careful, balanced tone. Neither cancels the other out. Families do not always see the full internal struggles of their loved ones. At the same time, official information is not always fully visible to the public. What matters is acknowledging both perspectives without turning grief into contradiction. Another unanswered element involves the search area. The location where Camila was found had been searched earlier in the investigation. Authorities later stated that tall grass likely concealed the body from view. No detailed explanation has been released describing why the area was missed initially, what changed during the later search, or whether environmental factors shifted during the week. Again, this does not imply wrongdoing, but it remains unexplained. Officials have consistently stated they do not suspect third-party involvement. There were no signs of a struggle. The scene did not suggest foul play, measured delivery. These statements reflect investigators' assessments based on evidence available to them. They are not accusations, they are conclusions, some of which rely on evidence not yet shared publicly. This case is not about proving investigators wrong. It is about understanding how conclusions are formed and how transparency affects public trust. Unanswered questions are not allegations. They are simply gaps between what is known and what has been released. Until full forensic reports are made public, those gaps will remain. The public has access to partial information. Drawing conclusions beyond that risks spreading misinformation. At the same time, asking careful, fact-based questions is not disrespectful. It is part of responsible public discourse. Softer, respectful tone. Camila Mendoza Olmos was not a headline. She was a daughter, a young woman, and a person whose life mattered. As of the latest confirmed updates, Camila Mendoza Olmos was found deceased near her home. A firearm was recovered at the scene. Authorities ruled the death a suicide. Full forensic details have not been released publicly. Only official reports and documented evidence can provide complete clarity. Until then, the most responsible position is restraint, empathy, and respect. For the investigative process and for a family navigating profound loss. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. In the United States, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline can be reached by calling or texting 988. This report exists not to inflame suspicion, but to separate fact from uncertainty, and to remind us that behind every investigation is a human life that deserves care, accuracy, and dignity.